mode.
Hi, welcome to our Trade of the Week webinar for February 25th. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone is able to hear me okay. If you can hear me, to the little chat box. Okay, great. All right. Today, Brad Williams will be hosting the webinar. I want to strongly encourage everyone to stick around until the very end today, and we will be, excuse me, I want everyone to stick around to the very end today, and we'll be going over some of our special promotions. Also, I want to encourage everyone to ask as many questions that they have into the chat window, and we will do our very best to answer them during the presentation today. We are recording this webinar, so if you find that you missed something, we will go back and review it later. You can review it later on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brad.
Thank you very much, Marissa. One more time, everybody, if you could go ahead and just give me a quick chat in your chat box to let me know that you can hear me okay and that you can also see my screen. And I just have the Trade of the Week displayed on my desktop right now. Perfect. So thank you very much, folks, for taking the time out of your evening to join us to learn more about trade ideas. So please note that anything mentioned in this webinar is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not constitute any trading advice. So trade ideas, we specialize in crunching big data. It's what we do. We're the best at it, and we've developed a state-of-the-art idea generation engine. So we started Trade Ideas about 12 years ago, and we had one thing in mind when we did it: really be the best at mining stock-relevant data and deliver actionable trading ideas to our users in real time. And when we started this in 2003, the product was a bit smaller, and it only included really a subset of the functionality that we have now. We only had alerts back then. And since then, we've added a lot of different ways to visualize this data. Including, and this is a mouthful, our multivariant sortable top lists, which I'll talk a little bit about, our multi-strategy window, which is a great real estate saver because it allows you to combine a variety of different unique alert windows or alert strategies into a single window container. We've also developed in that time period our compare count window, which is a nice visualization tool, our single stock window, which allows you to really drill into a particular security and get some more information on it, not just regular market data, but some of the special data that's unique to Trade Ideas. And then finally, the odds maker, which is our event-based backtesting tool. It's really a backtesting tool that's quite unique and much different than the way most people backtest securities, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So let me get right to the agenda and really set your expectations for the next half hour or so for what we'll be talking about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Trade of the Week. That's why we're all here. I'm going to talk about some of the algorithms that go into it, how we find these particular securities and deliver them to you. And then I'll show you how you can utilize Trade Ideas, the software tool, our flagship product, to navigate not only the trades of the week, but to utilize our Netflix-style viewing, which is what we call our channels, which are really predefined views of the market that we've created for you. It really allows a user, a Trade Ideas user, to get started right away using the tool, getting the most out of it without having to really learn how to configure and massage and do everything that can be done with Trade Ideas. It's a super powerful tool, and really is for the beginner all the way up to the advanced, because the beginner can just click through channels and get information delivered right to them, but the more advanced trader can really go in and refine not only the channels, but can create their own strategies from scratch. We'll drill into the odds maker. I'll get very specific with that, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the live trading chat room. I want to make everybody aware that that service is there. It's a real fantastic one, and it's free, so it'd be foolish not to check it out and take a look. So we're delivering these trades of the week in an email, typically after the fact, typically after the market's over. But if you join our live trading chat room, you're getting live information right then and there. And it kind of goes back to one of the reasons why we started Trade Ideas in the first place. Trade Ideas is a tool that really, it allows someone to really emulate being on a trading floor. You know, a lot of times people are trading out of their office, their home, they're by themselves, and they're really caught up in the information that they're aware of, along with CNBC. And using trade ideas, using our chat room, really broadens your horizon and really lets you see the different securities out there that have price action and things happening in them. You know, at Trade Ideas, we look at every single tick of every stock in the marketplace, and we then benchmark every stock on every time frame, so we know what's normalized behavior on every stock at every time interval. So when something crazy or abnormal is happening, instantaneously the Trade Ideas technology alerts you to that. Talk a little bit about our support. We get a lot of great feedback on our support. One of the things that we do, which is pretty unique, is we offer real one-on-one training for our users. We connect to a web desktop sharing session, and an expert from Trade Ideas connects with you and answers any specific questions you may have, but also walks you through the features and functionality of the tool, so that you know, at the end of that hour, you know exactly what you can do with Trade Ideas and put it to work for you. Then I'll talk a little bit about custom formulas and filters, and I'm just going to touch really briefly on that so you can get an idea of some of the capabilities for the advanced users. I'll talk a little bit about some of the latest features in the software, and we'll give you a special offer for joining us today, and we'll take some questions afterwards. All right, so we're all here today, you know, because you guys are recipients of the Trade of the Week. And what I want to do is I want to talk to you about the science that's involved with that and what you can do with it. So the Trade of the Week algorithm, really at its most basic level, is looking for increasing price action over a long period of time. That long period of time could be 2, 3 years, it could be 10 years. But we're also looking for some volume confirmation. And the volume confirmation doesn't necessarily need to be the day of the trade, but it is one of the catalysts for this short-term move. So it could have taken place over the last week. And I'll show you, specific to the Trade of the Week this week, which is microchip technologies, some of the analysis that went into identifying that particular security. So let me do this. Let me, instead of using the PowerPoint here, let me just bring in more of a dynamic interactive chart so we can really drill into microchip in particular. So we'll look at some of the different time frames. So the first time frame, let's look at this bottom chart right here. And this is just really a long-term time frame going back to 1996. And you can see that this is just an upward solid trend. I mean, there have been a few hiccups in 2000 and in 2008 and 2009, but overall, the broader picture of this particular security shows a nice upward trend. So then let's kind of get a little bit closer view of it. So now we're looking at just a couple years of data. And let me shrink it up a little bit here. So there's a couple years of data going back to the end of 2012. Specifically, I want to kind of draw your attention to this point right here. And this is really where the volume confirmation came in. Let me change my pointer. So on this day here that it gapped out, let me stretch it a bit. So on the day that it gapped up, this was the 5th of February. And the 5th of February put in an incredible amount of volume. So that was one of the first indications. The next day did even more volume, but notice the candle action behavior. You know, this was, even though it was a red candle, it still stayed in the upper portion of that breakout day range, signifying some pretty good solid behavior. The next thing that we went to look at, and I can pull it up on this chart right here, is we had some really strong resistance at the $50 level. And when that strong resistance was taken out, it really started acting like new support, which oftentimes is the case. Hopefully it's going to maintain that support structure, but you can see as it broke out, tested it, and started to move back up. And that's the identifying factor that we wanted to take a trade here. Now, utilizing some of this long-term information and coupling it with some of our real-time technology where we're looking at all the ticks of every stock, we're able to then generate a real-time signal off of that based upon crossing yesterday's high. So I had a small list of stocks in here that we were looking for as candidates that needed to cross yesterday's high, and when it did that, it gave us the trigger event. I'm going to show you how we can utilize our technology inside of Trade Ideas so that you can get the same benefit of that. You don't need to wait for an email from us, but rather you have the data already inside of Trade Ideas to make these decisions and find this analysis yourself. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to pull that to the side, and I'm going to bring up the software. I'm going to talk a little bit about the software, a little bit about the channels, a little bit about our various windows, and then more specifically about the trades of the week and how we can identify those. So the channel bar is over here on the right-hand side, and the channel bar represents a variety of different themes in the marketplace. And the first one that's up right now is a pre-market theme. So theoretically, this is the type of channel you would want to load up when you first sit at your desk before the market opens, so you can get a real clean idea as to what stocks are gapping up, what stocks are gapping down, where's the volume in the morning. And I have a variety of windows here. These are the two top windows are top list windows, and I said multivariant sortable top list windows originally. And what it is, it's, let me simplify it a bit, it's really just a ranked list of stocks based on your filter criteria. So you can set up all the filters you want, and once those filters are set up, it's going to deliver those results right to the window here. And what I'm looking at are stocks that are gapping up. That's this particular, if I hover over it, you're going to see this is a gap percent. I can also right-click inside of here and show the text headers. So for new people that don't know the icon nomenclature, if you will, you can go ahead and turn this into text headers. And so we're sorting this on the gap, and so these are all the stocks that are gapping up today. Everything, the minimum gap is 0, so anything above that is gapping up. Same thing over here on the other side, the reverse sort. And so now we're looking at stocks that are gapping down. Gives us that indication. Now the window down at the bottom is a real-time streaming window. This happens to be our multi-strategy window, which contains just a couple different unique alert setups. So if there's a pre-market high, a pre-market low, or something that's happening on super high relative volume, it's going to display here in this window. So this is what you're going to do when you come in and get an idea as to what's happening in the morning. And then some of the other channels, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll talk a little bit about the social media. One thing that Trade Ideas does very well is we combine structured data with unstructured data. And structured data is your high, low, open, close, last, the basic level 1 data that we all get from the exchanges. But unstructured data could be something like social media data, Twitter data, StockTwits data. So if it's being discussed in social media, we have a feed to that, and we can tell when things are being talked about more than normal. And that's what you would have in this window here in the upper left, which is our most unusual social up movers. So this right here, we're sorting it internally on change from the close, but if I sorted this on social volume, I can see that HMNY was doing 20,000 times normal volume. So this now became a security that people started talking about. And you can get that instantaneous feedback and information right from this type of window. So I've got a bunch of windows, a bunch of different themes that you can go to. The winners channel, you can go to that to see all the different winners on a variety of different time frames. I could go to the beaten up channel, see the losers on a variety of different time frames, today, the week, the month, the year, since January 1st. So we give you all these very unique data points from which to view this data. But with respect to the trade of the week, now we have that inside of this now trending channel. So what we've done is every window here is looking towards our trade of the week symbol list. And this is a list that's automatically generated by our servers and updated for stocks that have this long-term upward price movement and price action. So if those symbols exist, they're in this particular symbol list, and then we're doing real-time analysis off of that list. And that analysis could be something, making a climactic move, something running up very fast or running down very fast, or something that may be happening on super high volume. And all of this information is being delivered to you very, very quickly. Now, like I said, all of these windows here are being fed off of that trade of the week. So if we pull up, I'll just pull up some of these, and let's look at a long-term time frame of them. And we can kind of look at the price action behavior of them. So you can see a very similar type of theme where these stocks are all on an upward trend. So, and this top window right here is a little bit different. When we were looking at the pre-market before, there were only 3 strategies in here. Well, this window right here has a far more than that. It has probably about 15 different strategies. So it's looking, at this trade of the week symbol list for any of these types of events to occur. And when they occur, it's going to deliver it. It's going to deliver it right to your desktop. Okay, so that's our channels. Now we also have another thing that's actually very nice. It's our welcome screen. The welcome screen does something very similar to the channels here, but we also give you, instead of just the ability to pull in a variety of different themed workspaces and layouts, you can go to the Strategies tab and you can pull up an individual alert window or individual top list window. And we've broken this down into neutral, bearish, and bullish. And right here you can see the different strategies that are all pre-configured. If we want to pull this up 3% in reporting earnings today, I'll just select it and select launch. And now I have a window here that's looking for stocks that are up 3% and have earnings today. And this could be all, you could go into it and you could change it if you'd like. For someone that has a little bit more experience with the tool, if I wanted to, instead of looking for something earnings today, I could look for something, say, earnings tomorrow. And I could just change that to, say, 1 to 2. And now what I have is a window that's going to be showing me earnings tomorrow. And this is done in the form of an alert window. So a new event's going to occur to send this to my window. Now I do have an earnings channel. I'm going to pull that up because it shows me a little different way to display this data. So when I pull up the earnings channel, I've got a variety of different top lists too. So these top lists immediately populate with data. And now I can see exactly what's happening today with respect to earnings, what's happening tomorrow with respect to earnings. So really trying not to be caught off guard and being very well aware of what's going on out there. So that's our channel bar. I mean, I could go on and on with the different features and functionality, and that's why I'm going to definitely talk about it as we go through. But our training is super important. Take advantage of it, please. Sign up for it. It's free, and you will get a lot out of it. It will definitely show you the nuances of trade ideas and how to get the most out of your windows. What I want to do is I want to show you our event-based backtesting tool, because there's so much data here. You have to ask yourself, what do you do with it? How can you turn this into something positive and be pretty confident that what's going to happen has some statistics behind it? So let me do this. Let me go ahead and load from my cloud a window that I've saved. So I'm going to load this. This is an optimized mean reversion strategy. This is a strategy that's looking for inordinate price movement down, some downward movement, intraday downward movement that's far greater than normalized behavior, and with the expectation that it should bounce back. It should revert back to some normalized mean rather than the extreme that we were alerted to. So what I'm going to do is, this is a strategy. You don't need to know the details of it necessarily, because I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk a little bit about the results and the analysis of that. But just suffice it to say, if I go to the summary tab, you can see what we're looking for here. So we're looking for stocks between 14 and 86, a certain dollar volume for the day, has a certain number of mentions in the social sphere, and has a variety of other metrics. It's also down at least 2 standard deviations. So that is the kind of the guts of the strategy. But once you have a strategy, let's test it and let's see how it works out into the market, and let's take a look at the analysis of it. So I'm going to select Run the Odds Maker. That's our backtesting tool, and the first screen that pops up allows us to put in a variety of different information, kind of trading rules, if you will. So the first section up here, I'm telling it that I do not want to trade. I'm on the West Coast, so we start at 6:30. I'm not going to trade during the first 5 minutes of the market. I'm also not going to trade during the last hour of the market. So that means initiate a position. I'm going to hypothetically say that when I buy a triggered event here, when a symbol comes to the window, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to hold it for 45 minutes. A little bit of risk management. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to put a protective stop in here of 50 cents. I'm not going to put in a profit target. I'm going to try to let that run, and we're going to do this in dollars, and then I'm going to simulate the buy. And then when I do that, it's going back to our server farm in San Diego, and it is crunching. I mean, we've got 20-plus servers that are sitting here crunching all the data, going back these 65 trading days, going back a quarter, 3 months, and letting me know exactly how this strategy would have performed in the market had I executed every signal that was given to me. The great thing about this is I could, immediately after running it, I could go back in and I could make a change my price structure, I could change any variable that I want and run it again and see, is this better than it was before? Is it worse than it was before? And really make that determination. So the last mile here, the last couple of percent, sometimes takes a little bit, but as soon as it's done, we're going to get a real great indication as to an equity curve. So if I started with $50,000, how would I have done over the course of this time? How much buying power would I need? How much drawdown would I have? And so it gives us all that data point. I should have run this before the webinar, but almost done. I can then even drill into a calendar view, and I can go into any particular day and see the exact trades that were made for that day, the price point that I entered, the price point that I exited, and really just get all that data, and then also have the ability to optimize it. So let's understand what we're looking at first. So a variety of metrics over on the left-hand side. The profit factor, that's the sum total of all your winning trades over the sum total of all your losing trades. So that's 5x. That's really good. That doesn't even take a mathematician to realize that's a good profit factor. Total trades, 65% winners out of a 351 count. I like to see the average winner to loser usually twice, 2x, so we have that here. 1.05 is the average winner, 43 cents is the average loser. You've got the return. We're hypothetically starting with $50,000. I only need $82,000 to implement this strategy, so 2-to-1 margin account, no problem. I'm buying $7,500 worth of stock on every transaction. That will equate to different share quantity. If I wanted to see, what would it happen if I did 200 shares per transaction, there's no way I'd be able to execute it because I probably have some pretty high-priced stocks in here. So generally, I like, to see if a strategy works out, I'd like to put in a dollar value and take a look. Then we can model some more data points. Commission, everybody pays a different commission, and you can model that here. If you were to pay $10 commission, it would affect it a little bit, but it would still be a profitable strategy here. And then we have slippage, and slippage is what you're going to lose getting in and getting out. So I may not get the price point that I was looking for getting in. I may get it 4 cents worse. So I'm accepting that. I could say that maybe the strategy has 10 cents slippage in, 10 cents out. It's a mean reversion, so I may not get that price. That may be more realistic. So there's our equity curve. It gives us our 3 lines of our net all the way to our gross. And then I have the calendar, as I was mentioning. The calendar gives me a visual representation as to how did I do for this month. You can go back, see how I did in January, December. Pretty good. Green is good, red is bad. Go back to February, go back to the 24th, drill into it. You can see the trades that made up today. Initially, we did this strategy. If I run the history for just today, you can see that the trades that were generated today. Something like LL. This was done at 640, taken at 64.62. So it looks like we got that in here and took it up right up out here. So that's these are the results for today, and you can go back into any of the days and drill right into it. Probably the most powerful part of the odds maker is the optimization tool. So the optimization tool breaks data down into so many different ways and lets you analyze it and visualize it and see which segments were successful, which segments weren't. Here's an example of a segment, price segment. So stocks between $10 and $20, how did I do? 20 and 30, how did I do? And so all the different price points. The worst one was between 80 and 90. I only won 42% of the time. I had 19 trades, but I did make money overall. So remember, this is an optimized strategy. There's not going to be a lot of red in here because we've already taken to the point. But if I want to drill into that $80 to $89 range, I can see the stocks that made up that particular group, and I can see the profitability of them and where I did well and where I didn't. We do the same thing for time. So if you're trading throughout the entire day, and you could break it into, say, 15-minute intervals, and now you can see, okay, when was I successful? When wasn't I? Should I have stopped trading at 10 o'clock or not? Again, this is optimized, so it's pretty good. Filters, and this is where I've got all the filters that we have inside of Trade Ideas right here inside of this strategy that I could optimize if I wanted to. So like for instance, if I took 5-minute range percentage, so this is a filter that we have, and if the 5-minute range happens to be above 10%, I'm not winning any of those. So that's a data point, that feedback that it provides back to you, and maybe I want to go in and I want to take this strategy and I want to make the max 5-minute range 10%. I'm only losing 2 trades here, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that, but when you're initially starting off looking at a strategy, you may have everything below $5 red and losing. Well, right there it tells you, this is not a good strategy when that 5-minute range happens to be above 5%. So that's the kind of feedback that you're able to take in and then utilize back as you alter the strategy. If I wanted to change the strategy, I could just right-click on it, and I could set the max value of the 5-minute range to 8.99. I'm going to make it 10. But if I make that selection right here, and I come here, make that 10, I've changed the strategy. I could run the odds maker again and see how that affects it. And that's the type of interactivity that you should have with the odds maker. So I'm going to table the odds maker for now and kind of move through the agenda here and talk about a few more of the items. I really want to talk about the trading room because Barry Einerson is our moderator, and he does a fantastic job of walking people through his trades. Now, he's not just chatting, he's really trading, and he's talking about it, and we've assembled a pretty good crew of people in that room that are giving great feedback. So if you find yourself alone or a little bit without direction and you're looking for a community to involve yourself in, the forum is a great place. So the forum, you go to forums.trade-ideas.com. You can also get to it right from our channel bar. So if you scroll down on our channel bar, I've got a chat room option here. And if you select that, that'll go ahead and launch our forum. And at the top of our forum is our chat room. And you can go ahead and load this up at any time tonight and go back, and you can get a sense of what was being discussed and the tone of the room, and it really, I've had such great feedback, and that's why I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention here today. So it's forums.trade-ideas.com. So let me also talk a little bit about some of the features and functions that exist within Trade Ideas that make manipulating the data pretty easy. Let me bring up just a channel here. Let me bring up social media channel. And I want to also bring in, probably better to bring in another window so I can illustrate this to you. So I'm going to bring in this window called climactic move up. So it's a real-time analysis of a climactic move when something inordinate happens in a stock where it moves up more than normal, or in this case what we're doing is we're looking for a move up. Let me get rid of this detail here, where we're looking for a move up where the stock has had at least 2 consecutive 5-minute candles up. It's moved at least 1% over a 15-minute period of time. It's 1% above the 20-period SMA on a 5-minute chart, and the price range is 2 and 200. So that's what we have right here. And I want to tell you a little bit about the flip feature. So this right here is looking for stocks that are moving up. And if we pull it on here, we're going to get after hours moves to the upside. Okay, but if I wanted to say look at something moving down, I don't want to have to configure this again. I can go right to the duplicate option. Now I have a carbon copy of that other window, 2 climactic up moves. Right click in here to bring up the configuration. Now I'm going to select flip. I don't need to do anything except for change the window name here. Make this a climactic down move, and it's smart. It knows which filters to flip, and it knows which alerts to flip and which alerts to leave the same. So we had a 5-minute wide range bar in there before. We still have it now, but instead of a 5-minute high, we've got a 5-minute low. And any filters that we were looking at, it reversed that as well where applicable. Not the stock price, but the stock is down at least 1% over 15 minutes. It's also a good educational kind of feature because if you're not sure how to configure something to the downside, configure it to the upside and hit the flip. So when you hit OK, now I've got just the inverse of that. Now I've got something where it's moving down an inordinate amount. The history is something that we have. Not only can you get real-time data, but you can also take a look at what happened today, what happened yesterday, what happened during a particular time frame. So that's important. One of the features that's in our latest version, and it goes hand in hand with the channel bar. Let me show you how it works. I'm going to take these two climactic move windows and I'm going to move them to the bottom here. So everybody's asking me, they're like, I want to change channels, but I keep losing my windows. Well, this guy here, I'm going to select as pinned. This guy here is already pinned. That means that when I change the channel, these windows are not going to disappear. So if I move this over to, say, the winners channel, I still have these windows that I want to look at the same time of looking at my various channels. So you can make that more complex. This could be on a whole other monitor. This could be another one of the channels. It could be a winners channel that you pin to your other monitor and still give you the ability to cycle through new results here. One of the latest things that we did in the last version 1.6.4 is we've also increased the size of our cloud. So before you were only able to save X number of windows. If it was a multi-strategy window, that's generally a bigger window because it has many more strategies in it. This was about as big of a window or a big of a layout as you could save. But now with the new cloud feature, you're able to save 4 times that amount. So hopefully that should help people saving their windows and strategies and layouts to the cloud. Super important to do because it provides a great backup as well as being able to pull these strategies up on a different computer with your login. It also provides a nice archive. So in case something happened to your hard drive or your strategy got messed up, deleted, it's always available here in the cloud. 2 other things that I wanted to mention before we move on is that we now also link through our external linking. See, this right here is a third-party tool. This is Realtik, and Realtik is a trading platform. It's a charting tool. It could be eSignal. It could be TC2000. It could be Free Stock Chart Stock. It could be any one of these charting tools, and we link to it, and we link to all of them through our external linking connector. So if I bring up our external linking connector, you can see that this is connected to Realtik here, and it's a one-time setup that you do when you load the software up. But once you do it, it then gives you the ability to cycle through the symbols really effortlessly. So when you want to see what's up today, you can do that. If you want to see what's at the top of the 30-minute range and drill right into that, you can do that. So that's another nice feature, linking with TradeStation and linking with interactive brokers. So we had a pretty big community of users previously that were unable to link to those 2 platforms. They're now able to link to it. What else can I talk about from let me do one more thing, and then we'll move on to a little bit of the support. I'm going to talk a little bit about bookending. So I'm going to open up a new top list window right here, and I'm going to look for stocks. Let's just say I'm going to look for stocks with an RSI. Let's pull up the RSI filter. Let me start from scratch first. Let's bring up the RSI filter. And let's just do the 5-minute RSI. I'm going to add the filter, and I'm going to say I only want to look at stocks that are, say, above 85 on the 5-minute RSI. Let me make sure I have a couple columns in here. So price, let's also bring in the RSI, and let's bring in the change from the close, both of them. Okay, so now we're looking at stocks that have an RSI greater than 85, and there are just a couple of them here. Let me go back into the configuration, and in that same window, so there are a couple things I can do. Look, I could duplicate the window, configure, flip. Now the RSI is no more than 15. We'll hit OK. We don't need to rename it. So now I have another window looking for stocks with RSI less than 15 on a 5-minute time frame. But now let's go ahead and incorporate them into the same window. And this is what we call bookending, where we're going to have the minimum 85, but the maximum is going to be 15. Little counterintuitive. I've got this magnifying glass here to kind of help you. If you look at the histogram, you're going to see that I'm only, these are blue and they're really small, but I'm only looking at these stocks here and these stocks here. I'm not looking at the meat of the market. And in total, right now, there are only 11 symbols that meet that criteria. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And now what I have is I have a top list here, and let me sort it on RSI. So now you can see I've got the breakpoint here, and I've got the guys with the low RSI at the bottom and the highest RSI at the top. So that's our flip feature. And then please go here. I'm going to just pull up Google, and you type in Trade Ideas Training, and you come here to the sign up for our free one-on-one training. You can go ahead and play Marissa's video right here and sign up for it. That'll send a message to one of our educators. We'll reach out to you, and we're going to take a very personal approach to making sure that you know exactly what you're doing with trade ideas. And we don't leave you there after the training. If you need help building strategies, if you have a question on how to configure a filter, just shoot us an email, give us a phone call, and through a variety of different technologies that we put together, whether it's a cloud link or whether it's a collaboration link, we can build it and we can shoot you this link that you can then put back into your software to pull up that window exactly the way that we configured it. So it's a real nice way for you to share strategies with us to share them with you, or you to share them with the community if you want to do that. And we have a lot of people on our forum, not so much in the chat room, but on the forum where we do have a lot of ideas that are shared as well. So please keep that in mind. So I think, let me go back to our presentation here. I think that's going to sum it up for today with respect to the agenda that I was covering. I'm going to turn it back over to Marissa just to talk a little bit about some of the specials that we have that are going on right now, and we'll open it up for some questions.
Thank you, Brad, and thanks again to everyone who attended the webinar this evening. As I mentioned earlier, here are some special offers that we are extending for participating in tonight's webinar. You can save 30% by using this code right here, TOW25webinar. And this code will discount your total, your order total, or the first month of the subscription. So if you were to purchase the 99-month subscription, it will take it to $69.30. The monthly recurring would be $52.50 for the first month. And the Advantage Player subscription would be $165.20 instead of the $236. And if you were interested in purchasing the odds maker, it would take it down from $1,100 to just $770. So it's actually a really great deal. Again, that code right here is TOW25webinar. Do you want to show me the other one, Brad?
Sure.
Thank you. This is our best deal. This is $7.99. This includes a full year, which is typically $628. However, if you want to go with this special, you get the full year plus the lifetime odds maker, which is usually $1,100, and an optimized strategy, and you get all of this for $7.99. So it's really a great deal. You can go to this link right here, which is http://bit.ly/TOW799. And that will give you the $799 deal that is showing right here. So again, we have the 30% off your first order, or you can save quite a bit more by doing this $799 deal. You get the odds maker and a full year with an optimized strategy.
Thank you very much, Marissa. So it was brought to my attention. I did kind of zip through something and forgot to talk a little bit about something that I want to bring to everybody's attention, and that is our custom filters. So I did kind of get a little bit into the weeds with configuration, but with respect to our custom filters, this is a pretty interesting area of trade ideas. If you're logged into the site, you can go to support, go to our support section, go to account management, and we've got a section here called custom formulas. Now we've got a database of a bunch of different variables, and these variables can all be massaged mathematically. And this is my account. This is one of my accounts that I have here, and it shows you a variety of different. Actually, I'm going to log into a different one because I want to show you some different filters or some different customs. Okay, so this is my main account, and this one here really has 100 different custom filters all set up, and you can take a look at the description here. You don't need to, worry so much about the source and the nitty-gritty that goes into it, but it gives you the ability to, for instance, we give you volume on a 1-minute time frame, we give you volume on a 5-minute time frame. Because we give you those 2 data points, you can then create a ratio that's looking at the 1 minute and comparing it to the 5-minute that's been divided by 5. So you can then see, do we have increasing volume? Not just high volume, but is it increasing over the last 5 minutes, or the different time frames that we have here. So I'll scroll down. You can look at some of the other things that we have. We can do a Smile estimated daily liquidity, pretty bizarre thing. We can do money flow today and yesterday, and through the different data points we create those filters. And once we've created the filter here through our web page, you can see, you can have access to it right through the software. So if I right click and go to configure and I go to search and I scroll down to the bottom, you can see all the different custom filters that I put in. And these filters can not only be used as a filter, but they can also be columns, and they can be data points that you can view visually. So that's a pretty powerful area of trade ideas that most people aren't familiar with. So I wanted to touch a little bit upon that. Also, there was one other, the main thing, I wanted to show you some of the upcoming features of trade ideas and some of the things that we're doing, and probably the main one, which I think is super cool, and it goes hand in hand with our analytics, is the ability to have a chart. So this was Realtic here, but this is right now is still in beta, not quite, maybe it's an alpha, it's not quite ready for our users, but very, very shortly, in the next couple months, this is going to be included. It's not going to be an extra fee, it's going to be included with your Trade Ideas platform, so that if you click on a symbol, let me get rid of this guy here, it's going to go ahead and provide you a variety of different charts that you want. You could have a daily, intraday. I could turn this into a 5-minute, turn this into a daily, and then I could peruse around the world here and take a look at stocks. So this is really nice, and one of the great things about it, if I pull up, let me do this right here. I'm pulling up an alert that happened at 12:40 today. So that was 20 minutes before the close. It gave me an indication exactly the candle that caused that alert right there. So there's some great things that we're doing with the chart. So it's not just going to be your basic charting. There's going to be some really nice overlays and some additional trade ideas information that's built into it. So I wanted to touch a little bit upon that. So I'm going to go through some of the questions here, answer a couple, and then we'll call it a day. From Peter here. Peter, you suggested that we should be able to allow trade ideas on multiple PCs, and we do. You can have this installed on 5 different PCs, and it's just going to, the very last one to log in is going to be the one that's running. So if I was to log on to another computer, this would just log me out. This ball would turn red. When I'm ready to log back in here, all I would need to do is double click on that ball, and this one would then become active. So whether you're on a website, because we do have this in a web version as well, you can be on the web, you can be on the application, multiple computers, just not at the same time. And that's not our rule. That's an exchange rule. We can't distribute data to more than one person per account. So it's just, that's a rule. All right, let's see here. We should add a pre-configured strategy for opening range. Okay, that's a good idea. I can do that. I don't have one readily available, but we can certainly create some pre-configured opening range strategies. Couple more here. You can absolutely feed a universe into TI, very much like I was showing you. Let me scroll up here, our trending now. So the trending now, if I click on that and I go into any one of these windows here and I pull up the symbol list, you can see here that I'm not looking at the broad universe anymore, even though we can. I'm looking at just a specific list of stocks, and that happens to be the trade of the week. And you can create your own list. We also have a bunch that we've created for you, and then we have a variety of different sector lists. So if you want to drill into any particular sector, industry group, sub-industry group, you can do that. And we touched upon that a little bit on the sectors channel. So if you go into the sectors channel, you're then looking at a variety of different groups that we put together. Certainly not all of them, but we took a snapshot of 10 different groups and populated them for you here. But you can certainly do that. The software, while we are embedded in Power eTrade, we also link with Power eTrade. So if you're not using the strategy scanner, which is the trade ideas tool inside of Power eTrade, you could certainly use TI Pro and utilize our external linking to link to it. And that would be the same for our Scottrade community users. We're embedded inside of Scottrade, but if you prefer to use TI Pro, you can certainly link to it. I don't have a time frame for Sterling. The demand, quite honestly, just isn't there to go back into a full development project. The next automated trading venue that we're going to complete is going to be interactive brokers. I don't know if we'll pick back up with Sterling or not. A couple more. Let me scroll down here. If I don't get to everybody, info@trade-ideas.com or brad@trade-ideas.com. Let me leave that up while I'm completing this. Okay. For a symbol list, you could do NASDAQ only. We have that in a exchange. So for instance, if you go into configure and you just want to look at NASDAQ, just go to exchanges and uncheck everything but NASDAQ. And now you'll only look at those particular stocks. So that was for Amy. As far as working with thinkorswim, we do link with thinkorswim. So we do have that. We're always trying to broaden our relationship. But right now, we just have nice external linking with them. And with respect to eSignal, I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. That's our next integration project. So we're very excited over the next several months to have an opportunity to be included in the eSignal application. So yes, we link with eSignal right now. Several months from now, we will be included and embedded in it. And we definitely still have a relationship with Lightspeed. One of the great automated trading tools that we made was for that particular brokerage. So if you're a Lightspeed client, Trade Ideas is free. You have access to the odds maker, and more importantly, you have access to Brokerage Plus, which allows you to automate any signal inside of Trade Ideas right through Lightspeed. Okay, well, you guys, I thank you very much for taking the time. Normally, this is kind of late, and I haven't done too many late webinars, but I'm glad I had an opportunity to talk a little bit about Trade Ideas and how it can help you and benefit you. And we definitely would like and look forward to you guys subscribing to Trade Ideas. So thank you very much, and have a great night.